Hello and welcome to this video on free and easy composite reliability calculation using Jamovi. My name is Geiser, I'm an instructor with QuantFish. In this video I will show you a great option for how you can compute composite reliability across a set of variables using a free and easy to use software that is called Jamovi. You can download that software for free from the internet. So let's get started and let's check out how this works. You can see I have Jamovi here open on my computer. It has a data window on the left hand side and an output window on the right hand side. And so the first thing that we want to do is load a data set. Jamovi allows us to load data in various formats, and you can do that by clicking on the upper left hand side icon right here, and then you can open a data file either by clicking on open, or you can select from recent files that you may have already used. So in this case I've already used this file math.sav. It's an SPSS data file that Jamovi can read. It can also read Excel spreadsheets, also text files, and also a lot of other different formats in which your data may come. So in this case, I'm going to open this SPSS data file, math.sav. And then you can see the data screen on the left-hand side now has my variables from this data file. And so I can now get started with my statistical analyses. There are two options in Jamovi for computing composite reliability. One is a straightforward, smaller option that gives you the basics, and then there's another option that gives you a lot more information. So we're going to get started with the basic option, which may be all that you need in some cases. So it's definitely useful to learn about that. And then subsequently, I'll also show you the more complicated options, and I'll tell you about what advantages it has over the simple option. The simple option you can find in the factor module. If you don't have that module in your menu here, then you can go to modules and add it. On the right hand side there's this button plus modules, and so you can find various additional modules under this option. Under factor, you can find scale analysis and then reliability analysis. So we want to pick that. And then we can select variables like we would in other point-and-click software such as SPSS. In this case, I'm going to select 4 subscales from a math test. So those are going to form my math scale or composite. And so I want to find out how reliable is the composite when I administer all 4 subscales and I compute a sum score across those 4 subscales. How reliable is that sum score? So I'm going to move these over into the field items. And then you can see in the output window already we have Cronbach's alpha, which will then be calculated by Jamovi across those 4 items. So it's very straightforward. It's just a single number that you get, Cronbach's alpha 0.8. Now, Cronbach's alpha may not be ideal here, and generally you have to be cautious with Cronbach's alpha because it comes with pretty strict assumptions about your subscale. So specifically, Cronbach's alpha assumes that you have a single factor model or unidimensional model that applies here, and that the 4 variables have equal unstandardized factor loadings on that single factor. We call that an essential tau equivalence model in classical test theory. So that's a model that assumes that the variables are essentially tau equivalent and that they have uncorrelated error variables and that they measure a single factor. So this may be too restrictive. Specifically, the idea that the loadings are all equal may not hold. And so if the loadings are unequal, then Cronbach's alpha may underestimate the reliability of the composite. So this number may be too small. Therefore, oftentimes we prefer McDonald's omega, especially when we're not sure whether those items have the same factor loadings. We can pick McDonald's omega here under scale statistics, and then it will be added to the table. You can see McDonald's omega is 0.816, so it's a bit higher than Cronbach's alpha, which is often the case when the factor loadings are not exactly equal. So McDonald's omega does not require a measurement model where the loadings are equal. It still requires a measurement model where there's a single factor and uncorrelated error variables. And so that is one downside of this simple option for computing composite reliability, that it does not allow you to test that assumption. So there's no test of a single factor confirmatory factor model that is provided here. So you have to make that assumption, you can test it. And we'll see that in the second option that I'm going to show you, this test is available and allows us to make sure that our scale really follows a single factor congeneric or tau equivalent measurement model. Now, there are some other things under this option that are nice. So one is that you can also look at Cronbach's alpha and or McDonald's omega when an item is dropped from the scale, meaning if we were to drop, for example, the first subscale math 1, Cronbach's alpha would drop to 0.73 from 0.8, so that's a loss. And then also McDonald's omega would also drop. So this would then, for example, show us that math 1 probably shouldn't be dropped from the scale. The one where it matters the least is math 4, where Cronbach's alpha stays almost the same and McDonald's omega also drops only slightly. So this shows you a little bit the contribution of these subscales to the overall reliability of the scale. If you had an item where actually the composite reliability index would go up when it was dropped, then that would be a sign that that item is maybe not a good item. That happens sometimes, where if you drop an item, then actually McDonald's omega becomes larger. So that's something where you definitely then want to think about whether that's a good item or not. Also, you can get item statistics, the mean, standard deviation, and item to rest correlation of each subscale, which may be useful as well. And you can also take a look at the mean and standard deviation of the overall scale if that's of interest to you. Furthermore, if you have any items that differ in polarity, for example, if you have questionnaire items and some are positively worded, some are negatively worded, then you can take that into account here under reverse scaled items. You can indicate which items have a different polarity, which items are maybe negatively worded, and then that can ensure that Cronbach's alpha and McDonald's omega are correctly calculated, because they will not be correctly calculated unless you recode those items prior to the analysis. So that's also important to keep in mind, and that's a nice feature of this option here. Now, what is less nice about this again is that there's no test of model fit for the underlying measurement model, and also you don't get the sample size here printed, at least not for these basic statistics. And so therefore there are some limitations to this. So I also want to show you an option that I like very much, because it allows us to fit the corresponding measurement model and to obtain a test of model fit for that model before we even interpret Cronbach's alpha or McDonald's omega. So this is found under the SEM option. SEM stands for structural equation modeling, and that's a general type of analysis that entails confirmatory factor analysis as a special case. So we can fit a confirmatory factor model with a single factor under this option, and this option also allows us to compute reliability statistics, and in fact it gives you more options with regard to reliability than this option here. So let's click on that. Again, if you don't have that module installed yet, you can go to modules on the right hand side and add it to your menu here. So let's go to SEM, and then we want to choose the SEM interactive option. This is a general option for structural equation modeling. You could use this if you had multiple factors and you had latent path analysis or latent regression analyses that you wanted to look at as well. So it's a very, very convenient option for structural equation modeling and confirmatory factor analysis. I have a separate video on how to do that on this channel that you can check out, structural equation modeling in Jamovi. So right now we're only going to fit a single factor model. So we're going to pick our 4 variables again on the left hand side, and we're going to drag them over to the field endogenous 1. So it doesn't really matter whether we define this as an endogenous factor here or as an exogenous factor because it's just going to be a single factor. So this will be just fine. We could relabel this variable here to make it maybe more to our liking. Instead of endogenous, we could call it math or factor or something like that. So this is going to be our single factor confirmatory factor analysis model. And you can see that Jamovi already estimated the model using maximum likelihood estimation. Here we can also now see our sample size, 454 cases. So that's good to always have that to check whether it's correct and make sure we have a large enough sample size. And then the model is shown here, endogenous one, or now it's called factor. So this factor is equal to or is defined by math 1, math 2, math 3, and math 4. So those are the measurements of this factor. And below that, we get a chi-square test of model fit. So this is a test of whether the single factor measurement model with unequal loadings and uncorrelated error variables fits the data. The chi-square test tests the hypothesis that this model fits exactly in the population. And you can see here the chi-square is significant at the 0.05 level with a p-value of 0.015, which means that measurement model is actually rejected. So a single factor model does not fit these data. And this is information that we previously didn't get when we looked at the reliability option. Previously, there was no such test. So we had to simply assume that that's a reasonable model. Now we're being told that actually we should maybe not use this because this may not fit the data. So there may be one subscale, for example, that is not in line with a unidimensional model. So that's good that we get that information. And so typically we would only want to use this composite reliability estimation if we had a chi-square p-value that was non-significant. So keep that in mind. Also, you get additional fit statistics, and some of them look actually quite good for this model. So the SRMR looks good, and also CFI and TLI indices look good. The RMSEA is a bit too large for a good model. So you could argue that this model is a reasonable approximation. It doesn't fit too poorly, so perhaps it's not too wrong, so to say, or maybe the composite reliability indices are relatively accurate. Now let's take a look at what else is provided here. So if we had a model that fit the data well, then we could interpret all these parameter estimates. And so first are the unstandardized loadings. And so here you can see that at least the last loading is a bit different from the other loadings, which are pretty close to 1. So for the first 3 subscales, we get unstandardized factor loadings that are pretty close to 1. But then the last one is different. And that's the reason why Cronbach's alpha was a bit lower than McDonald's omega, because those scales are definitely not essentially tau equivalent. They are maybe approximately congeneric with different loadings, but not essentially tau equivalent because they have different unstandardized loadings. In this table, you also get beta standardized factor loadings. So those are correlations between each variable and the single factor. And you can see they're all relatively high. So those subscales are relatively good measures of that factor. And combined, we saw composite reliability seems to be around 0.8 or a bit higher. So that's pretty good. Next are error variances that are estimated for the single factor model. Also the factor variance is given, and standardized error variances are also provided here. And then we get intercepts, which are not of interest to us with regard to the reliability estimation. You can see that the default here in Jamovi does not include reliability statistics. So we can, or we have to see if we can find them in our output options. When we go back to the left-hand side, you can see that there are more output options at the bottom. So when you go look at that, you will find that there's an option for reliability indices. When you click on that, you get an additional table on the right-hand side at the bottom with reliability statistics. You can see that here under additional outputs. And so again, the first index is Cronbach's alpha, 0.8. And then we get 3 different omega statistics, which are all pretty similar here. They differ a little bit from what we got in the reliability option previously, because now this is model based. So this is based on the fitting this confirmatory factor analysis model, but they're very similar to the index that we got previously. So this is how you get those. And then also you can get R squared. So this is another nice feature, that you can also get the individual subscale reliabilities, which are equal to R squared, or the standardized factor loadings squared. And so, which are right in this table here. So these values squared give you R squared, and they are provided in a separate table at the top. So those would be the individual subscale reliabilities. And you can see they vary between 0.421 and 0.641. So each individual subscale is not terribly reliable. But overall, if we interpret the omega, which again, we have to be a little bit careful with that because the model didn't fit well, but if we interpreted that, then the overall reliability would be quite satisfactory, with 82.2% of the scale or composite reliability variance being true score variance. So over 80% true score variance, that is pretty good composite reliability. Now, you can see there are a whole bunch of other options here in this SEM module. And one other feature that I want to point out that I really like is found under model options. And so here you can see that the default method of estimation is set to automatic, which is maximum likelihood. And so when you click on that, you have a whole bunch of different estimators that you can use, including robust maximum likelihood. And there's also DWLS, which you can use when you have ordinal variables. So you can also use this option when you have item level data, meaning when you have ordinal Likert scale items with 4 categories, you could still use this option and compute composite reliability properly, which is a great option that many other programs, including commercial programs such as SPSS, do not offer. So that's great. And then another great feature here is that you can switch from listwise deletion of missing values to a full information maximum likelihood, FIML. So if you had any missing data, then you could use full information maximum likelihood, which would be recommended, to address missing values so that you don't lose any data. And again, that is a very nice feature of jamovi that you cannot find currently in many other programs such as SPSS, where this option is just simply not available. So that's another great feature of this, and really for a free software, this is very convenient, very comprehensive, gives you a lot of nice output options, also provides the output in tables that already come in APA style. So those look like nice tables. You can export them when you right click on them. You can copy the table or export it, and so use it in some sort of Word document, for example. You can save the analysis when you go to this icon again and then save as. You should always save it, and then when you open jamovi again, you could open and access it again without having to rerun all those analyses. I hope you found this video useful to learn more about composite reliability calculation in jamovi. My name is Christian Geiser, and I'll see you next time.